All right. Hey, welcome back to Worldwide Railroad. I'm Derek, your host. It's been, wow, probably almost a year since I put together a catalog review episode. And I know this one's a little coming behind the heels of October, but I felt like, we're still here in early December. And I thought this was a really actually good catalog, at least from a selection standpoint. And I wanted to get my thoughts out there and share it all with you guys. Hope you've all been well. I hope your holidays are going well. I know this year has been turbulent for a lot of people, including myself. So let's dive into it. So first up, we have the K4 brass hybrids. I have to say, like I've always been a fan of the K4, and these ones really do deliver on the detail and from the looks of it, the quality. And I, some of the previous brass hybrids that we've seen, they have been nice, but I just the level of detail or sort of the tweaks and changes that came with it to me didn't feel like they were necessarily that worth it, at least for the price tag. I will say I think the price tag for these is still higher than it should be. But I think that's unfortunately given to the current tariffs and economic situation that we are facing in the country right now. So, but getting back to the detail of the engines, right? I think every single one of these three that are listed here look fantastic. I love the semi-streamlined look of the 1188. I love the look of the pre-war and post-war of the 5399 here. I mean, I think it's just simply fantastic looking. I love this look with the red light here, and the way that you've got these small tweaks and changes between them. To me, this is just a real standout engine. And if we keep going, we've got the other version here of the 5038. And this one is, for me at least, my favorite. I love the look of the smoke deflectors and how the lighting is done on this one. This one, if I ever decide to pick one of these up, which I'm considering despite the heinous price tag, but this one is, I think, my favorite. I just love the look. It is very not American prototypical. It is a much more European, or dare I say even sort of Japanese prototypical looking front end for this engine. And I just think that will make it stand out more on the layout, right? If you're going to get a K4, these are the ones, in my opinion, that are worth getting because they are going to stand out from your typical K4s that you see all the time. And the level of detail and craftsmanship looks like it's going to be, much better on these than they have for the other ones. Of course, you've got additional K4 brass hybrid examples. You've got the fantasy paint schemes, and you've got the done-up versions here with the pilot. I like the fantasy schemes. I've actually been a big fan of the fantasy schemes in the past and have bought several. I'm not sure if I feel like I need to get a fantasy scheme if I'm getting one of these this time. The fantasy schemes on these are good. I'm not sure which I really like the most. Again, I think I'm really drawn to the smoke deflectors, to the 5038 fantasy scheme one. So if I want that style of front end, I'm stuck with that fantasy scheme, which I think the fantasy scheme is fine. I like it. But I think all of these look great. Again, I'm a little skeptical always with the greens and reds. It's always for the what do we call this color? But you get my point. The darker reds. It'll come back to me in a minute. But it's always it can be a bit of a hit and miss with Lionel and their coloring. It's a bit of a shame, but that's the reality that we live with. And then you got the Polar Express, and you've got the Spirit of 1776. I will at some point get a Spirit of 1776 engine. I just don't know what, right? There's a lot that's been put out there. It's hard for me to say. The Polar Express one, this coloring, I'm not sure how this again is going to look in person. And again, this one doesn't have the front end that I really like with the smoke deflectors. So if I really wanted to go with Polar Express, probably it's just not going to be this for me. But for those who have the extra cash lying around, go for it. Go for it if you feel like this is the one that does it for you. But yeah, whistle steam, road specific details. Again, I think these brass hybrid K4s really do knock it out of the park. And then we get back to the K4 diecast, and this is sort of where, this is why I say the pricing about the brass hybrids, the $600 difference for the brass work. Don't get me wrong, I understand that it requires time and involvement on all that, but I'm not sure I can really see the $600 price difference. Really feel like that's just a bit of a kick to those of us who appreciate the uniqueness of those brass hybrids, and if they can pull that extra $600 out of us, they will. Sucks, but that's unfortunately the current state of the hobby, at least for O-scale it is. Again, more K4 diecast. The K4 just came out, I swear, not too long ago for Lionel, and again, the price tag was not this. I'll probably go back and do some digging after I make this video and post in a comment on it, what the last time K4s came out for in terms of pricing, because it doesn't feel like it was all that long ago, and the pricing has just skyrocketed for steam engines here. I think this Broadway Limited set looks great. Much like the brass hybrid one and those coaches, the Streamline coaches, I think this looks really good. It's a nice set. I will say, since we're sitting here with the passenger cars up for a minute, this set's priced at $3,200, and I think it was actually, hold on, let me go back and look real quick. So I did want to mention this because I had taken a quick look through the catalog. Okay, so chat, I want you to weigh in here on this. Do you all really think that it is acceptable to have a Station Sound diner car at $550 now? It's a passenger car with a speaker and a rolling loop of sounds on replay. And I know that you can program it and have it do some talking and all of that, but I don't, guys, this is not a $550 passenger car. I'm sorry, it's not. I don't really appreciate that we're getting this crazy here. But the 2-pack, we're looking at a 2-pack for $700 here. Also, these aren't even the 21-inch cars, right? They're 19 inches. So there's that as well. But $700 for a 2-pack of cars, and we're looking at what, $1,400 for a 4-pack? It was $300, I think, last year per sort of passenger car for some of these sets. It was around $250, $300 we had gotten up to, and we've now just blown past that, and we're up to $350-ish per car. Yeah, $350 per car. I don't know. Well, I love passenger cars. I love passenger trains. I think your best bet, though, is if you really want to be running some passenger trains, you're going to be looking for some older passenger cars. They run great. They look just as good for the most part. If you need to switch up the lighting because they're that old and you need LED lighting, find someone to help you with it or learn to do it. I just cannot see these passenger cars going for that much. And these ones are a little bit less. This is, what, $500 for these two? Okay, so $250 a piece. So, that's weird. I wonder why these ones are less. Is it because they have no figures or something in that? I don't know. What is going on here? The die-cast spring trucks, flexible opening doors, detailed interiors. They have detailed interiors and figures. I'd be curious to know why there is this big price difference between these passenger cars. Just looking at it quickly here in the catalog, I am not seeing it off the top of my, right off the top. But if you all see it, point it out to me in the comments, please. All right, so let's keep going. Enough for the K4s and the passenger cars. This Southern Pacific overnight set, this is a pretty cool looking fantasy scheme. I know I've read some chatter here and there. People are kind of on it. I think, honestly, the thing's a little bit for the biggest sort of feels sort of out of place is the red circle with the arrow. It just seems slapped on there in comparison to the black and orange, which feels pretty typical of Southern Pacific and traditional colors that they had. But this overnight set's cool. I'm also really excited to see the AC9s back. The AC9 is definitely an engine that I have wanted. I like my big steam engines, but again, the AC9 was only out what 6, 7, 8 years ago, and again, I know prices goes up, but $3,000 now, or that's for the overnight set. My mistake. Okay, so the engine itself isn't quite that much. Whew, guys, we this is a little crazy with this. I think the overnight set's nice. Not my cup of tea, but definitely think it looks good. So this is nice. Let's go see what the other AC9s are. All right, so full on set of AC9s here. Looks good. Of course, you got your traditional, like the all black that you have, and then you've got a couple fantasy schemes here, the daylight scheme. Um, I would probably go with the daylight scheme just because, again, you can go prototypical with the paint schemes all the time, but then you just wind up with all of your steam engines being pretty matte black for the most part. And I guess for me at least, like on my layout, O scale isn't always the most prototypical to begin with, so I like to throw on some color and some non-typical looking engines there. These do look good. They got 3 speakers in them, so you are getting that extra bit of sound and bass, I'm sure, which will really add to the effect of the engine. I'm pretty sure last time they only had 2 speakers in them. And you are getting whistle steam. These engines didn't have like a bell sitting out on them, so you're not going to have like a swinging bell or any of that. So pretty much your typical legacy big steam engine these days. 2300, that does hurt. That's a big price tag for these engines, especially when you factor in like what other Vision line, like the big boy that was just a few years ago, and I think we had the Challenger as well. I'm not sure I want to know what the Vision line version of like the next articulated steam engine is going to look like, but it's going to probably hurt our pockets. And we've got some more fantasy schemes here. The southern one is interesting. I'm not a fan of the silver orange one, but to each their own. Delaware and Hudson, that's cool. I mean, if you wanted a different road name, like definitely go for it, right? Rio Grande's fine. But yeah, that's the AC9. Not too much different from when it last debuted. I think really just the extra speaker is the biggest change. Rolling stock PS1 boxcars, typical couplers, scale coupler, or you can change them to scale couplers, but this is where I'm also really kind of confused. We're up to 120 for a boxcar, like that. I don't know. The boxcars are fine, but at 120 a pop, I'll pass. I'm good. And then you've got the older rolling stock looking boxcars, like the wooden style ones from an earlier era. And these are $90. So again, I'm always sort of interested to see like what is it? This is a plastic body molded with detail. What is this? Is this plastic? Die-cast trucks, simulated metal finish. So I'm assuming it's plastic. Doesn't say. Again, someone someday, like, because I've dealt with manufacturing in China, I really would like to know, like, what is it that's making them price a $20 difference in between these boxcars? Because I've been in the manufacturing in China, and like when I look at these, at least right off the cuff, I'm not seeing something that warrants the $20 difference. But right. Next up, we're over into Lion Chief items. We've got the Rocket, the 2.0 Jet RDCS, or that's the Lion Chief 2.0, but the Jet RDCS. These look fine. If you like the car, if you want like that experimental car and that cool look on your layout, go for it. They've got some cool fantasy schemes here, so it's definitely neat there. And this is where we were just looking at that Station Sounds car, and that was $550. For $30 more, you get a car, right? Same length approximately, right? This is 10.5 inches, so it's not quite as long. You're getting a model that's 10.5 inches, that's got motors, that's got the full controls, that's got operating couplers, right? To me, it's like, how does the Station Sounds car come in at $550 and this at $580? Someone's gonna have to explain this to me because this just doesn't work. Like, I don't see the math. The math doesn't match for me, right? Cool with the Looney Tunes. I think it's funny with the characters here. I like that. I will say I'm a sucker for Star Wars. Why is it 600? My goodness. Left side detail, because they have detail there? Are you kidding me? Well, this is the way. Man. Ugh. Well, I would get the Star Wars if I really want to do. I am a sucker for Star Wars. And this is an appropriate one. I love Boba Fett and, Mandalorian and all that. All right, typicals and trolleys, cute, whatever. Kind of sad to see these are up to like 185 now, for something so small and simple with no like controls at all. It just seems like a lot for something that's, again, so simple. Your Area 51, you've got your engine, your Lion-Chi Phantom engine, and your cool looking passenger car. I've never been a fan of those, but again, they're cool for the kids and whoever else likes them and likes that Area 51 thing. I like the Happy Halloween here. The AC9 done up in this scheme looks pretty good. The Streamline passenger cars, I think the scheme's pretty good here. I did pick up the wood-sided Halloween passenger cars a couple of years ago, or last year I think it was. And at least for me, like, I do love Halloween, but now that I've got an engine and a set of passenger cars, that's it for me. I don't just don't see myself getting any more Halloween stuff at this time. I also really don't have any more space for engines that I'm really only going to sort of run around the month of September, October. So, but it's a good look. And I definitely think if like you haven't picked up a Halloween engine, this is a good looking one if you're considering it. And these passenger cars are good too. And then, we're on to the smaller Halloween, like Hogwarts style set. I like this. If you really want a Halloween set that's got more of that sort of like European or like different style feel, this is nice. This is nice. Like for $575, you get an engine, you get several passenger cars. You can control it with Bluetooth and all that. It's a die-cast metal locomotive body. That's worth something. The fact that the body is die-cast metal, separately applied like marker lamps, and let's see, operating coupler on tender. They got an operating coupler on tender. I wonder if that means you can actually control it remotely. Well, even if you can, the fact that like the engine itself is a die-cast body. Electrical. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is a pretty nice looking set. This is if you wanted like an entry level Halloween set for yourself or for your kids, at $575, that's if you're not pre-ordering. This is not bad. This is like a great, honestly, this seems to be one of the best values I've seen in the catalog so far. And you can get the additional coach, which then at 150, well, I guess that actually sort of makes sense. But you can get the additional coach, you can get the transport car. That's cool. I like that. I think this is actually a pretty cool looking set. This is nice. I like that. Cool. So let's keep going. Again, some more Halloween decoration or like accessories, some cars. Nice, not bad. And yeah, that's the end of the catalog. So okay, I really am like, I'm sitting here. I've probably already missed pre-order season, but maybe we'll see if one of the big companies still has pre-orders sitting open for the K4 Brass Hybrid. Depending on what that pre-order price is, I may consider it. I haven't gone and looked at anything. I've just been really too busy with work and a lot of other personal stuff in the last few months here, really for the whole year. But definitely I'm going to go take a look at the K4 Brass Hybrid with the smoke deflectors, which was number 5038. That also said, I have been doing some research on my own. I've been digging into starting my own company for manufacturing model trains. And my focus with the company, if I'm able to get it going and do everything that needs to be done, is it will be focused more on European and East Asian or Southern Asian, really, honestly, non-American rail, because we get a ton of that already from MTH and Lionel. I really feel that the O-gauge market, also Atlas, is just saturated. And I'm looking to offer something different to the market than what we typically see. So if that's something you are interested in, drop a comment letting me know like what engine, steam, diesel, freight cars, passenger cars. What is it that you would like to see in 3-rail O gauge that is not an American engine or a passenger car or any of that? I just feel the market for American models is already heavily saturated with the 3 big companies, and that I know there's a lot of us out there who would love to get something from, we love the European models, we love the other models from, Asia or where have you. So yeah, let me know what you're thinking. Drop that comment. Would love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the commentary on this catalog. And if you're getting anything, let me know as well. Peace. Take care.